Hello, and welcome to Tales for Life. In each episode of this podcast, we'll explore a folk or fairy tale from a different culture or region and discover the life lessons, values, and morals they offer that we can use today. Join me on the journey through the magical and meaningful world of folk and fairy tales. Hello, and welcome to this episode of Tales for Life, the podcast that journeys through life one tale at a time. Wherever you are in your day, just getting started, somewhere in the middle, or at the end, thanks for joining me. Today's episode is sure to be a thoughtful one, and it's called You Have to Live the Good and the Bad. You know, most of us would love a life that just cooperates. A life where everything goes smoothly, where the road is freshly paved, the weather is perfect, and nothing ever knocks us off balance. And honestly, who wouldn't want that? But real life doesn't work that way, and deep down we know it. Life has this rhythm to it, a mix of ease and effort, joy and frustration, sunshine and storms. And as much as we might wish we could skip the hard parts, they're woven into the deal. What's funny, though, is that the tough moments are often the very things that give the good moments their shape. If everything were easy all the time, we wouldn't even notice when something wonderful happened. It would all just blend together. But when we've had a few bumps, a few disappointments, a few days that didn't go the way we hoped, suddenly the bright spots feel brighter. The small joys feel bigger. The good times actually register as good times because we have something to compare them to. And that's really the heart of today's episode. We're talking about the full picture, the good and the bad, the sweet and the bitter, and how they work together to make a life feel real and meaningful. There are very few tales I've run across that illustrate this concept more beautifully than this one from Japan. It fully captures the idea that if we try to spend all our time in just one side of life, we miss out. It's titled The Star Lovers. The Weaving Maiden was the daughter of a deity of light. Her dwelling was upon the shore of the Milky Way, which is the bright river of heaven. All the day long she sat at her loom and plied her shuttle, weaving the gay garments of the gods. Warp and woof, hour by hour, the colored web grew till it lay fold on fold piled at her feet. Still, she never ceased her labor, for she was afraid. She had heard a saying, "Sorrow, age-long sorrow, shall come upon the weaving maiden when she leaves her loom." So she labored, and the gods had garments to spare. But she herself, poor maiden, was ill-clad. She recked nothing of her attire or of the jewels that her father gave her. She went barefoot and let her hair hang down unconfined. Ever and anon a long lock fell upon the loom, and back she flung it over her shoulder. She did not play with the children of heaven, or take her pleasure with celestial youths and maidens. She did not love or weep. She was neither glad nor sorry. She sat weaving, and wove her being into the many-colored web. Now her father, the deity of light, grew angry. He said, "Daughter, you weave too much." "It is my duty," she said. "At your age to talk of duty," said her father. "Out upon you." "Wherefore are you displeased with me, my father?" she said, and her fingers plied the shuttle. "Are you a stock or a stone or a pale flower by the wayside?" "Nay," she said, "I am none of these." "Then leave your loom, my child, and live. Take your pleasure. Be as others are." She said, "Sorrow, age-long sorrow shall come upon the weaving maiden when she leaves her loom." "A foolish saying," cried her father, "not worthy of credence. What do we know of age-long sorrow? Are we not gods?" With that, he took her shuttle from her hand gently and covered the loom with a cloth. And he caused her to be very richly attired, and they put jewels upon her and garlanded her head with flowers of paradise. And her father gave her for spouse the herd boy of heaven, who tended his flocks upon the banks of the bright river. Now the maiden was changed indeed. Her eyes were stars and her lips were ruddy. She went dancing and singing all the day long. Long hours she played with the children of heaven, and she took her pleasure with the celestial youths and maidens. Lightly she went. Her feet were shod with silver. Her lover, the herd boy, held her by the hand. She laughed so that the very gods laughed with her, and high heaven re-echoed with sounds of mirth. She was careless. Little did she think of duty or of the garments of the gods. As for her loom, she never went near it from one moon's end to another. "I have my life to live," she said. "I'll weave it into a web no more." And the herd boy, her lover, clasped her in his arms. Her face was all tears and smiles, and she hid it on his breast. So she lived her life. But her father, the deity of light, was angry. "It is too much," he said. "Is the girl mad? She will become the laughing stock of heaven. Besides, who is to weave the new spring garments of the gods?" 3 times he warned his daughter. 3 times she laughed softly and shook her head. "Your hand opened the door, my father," she said, "but of a surety no hand, either of God or of mortal, can shut it." He said, "You shall find it otherwise to your cost." And he banished the herd boy forever and ever to the farther side of the bright river. The magpies flew together from far and near, and they spread their wings for a frail bridge across the river, and the herd boy went over by the frail bridge. And immediately the magpies flew away to the ends of the earth, and the weaving maiden could not follow. She was the saddest thing in heaven. Long, long she stood upon the shore and held out her arms to the herd boy, who tended his oxen, desolate and in tears. Long, long she lay and wept upon the sand. Long, long she brooded, looking on the ground. She arose and went to her loom. She cast aside the cloth that covered it. She took her shuttle in her hand. "Age-long sorrow," she said, "age-long sorrow." Presently she dropped the shuttle. "Ah," she moaned, "the pain of it," and she leaned her head against the loom. But in a little while she said, "Yet I would not be as once I was. I did not love or weep. I was neither glad nor sorry. Now I love, and I weep. I am glad, and I am sorry." Her tears fell like rain, but she took up the shuttle and labored diligently, weaving the garments of the gods. Sometimes the web was gray with grief, sometimes it was rosy with dreams. The gods were fain to go strangely clad. The maiden's father, the deity of light, for once was well pleased. "That is my good, diligent child," he said. "Now you are quiet and happy." "The quiet of dark despair," she said. "Happy? I am the saddest thing in heaven." "I am sorry," said the deity of light. "What shall I do? Give me back my lover." "Nay, child, that I cannot do. He is banished forever and ever by the decree of a deity. That cannot be broken." "I knew it," she said. "Yet something I can do. Listen. On the 7th day of the 7th moon, I will summon the magpies together from the ends of the earth, and they shall be a bridge over the bright river of heaven, so that the weaving maiden shall lightly cross to the waiting herd boy on the farther shore." So it was. On the 7th day of the 7th moon came the magpies from far and near, and they spread their wings for a frail bridge. And the weaving maiden went over by the frail bridge. Her eyes were like stars, and her heart like a bird in her bosom. And the herd boy was there to meet her upon the farther shore. And so it is still, O true lovers, upon the 7th day of the 7th moon. these two keep their tryst. It's a moving tale, and at first glance it's easy to file it under sad stories. But when you sit with it a little, you realize it's not really sad at all. The beauty of this story shows up when you take it as a whole, because this is the moment the Weaving Maiden finally gets to live a full life. Not just the safe half, not just the fun half, but the whole thing. And that leads us to the takeaways. First, life isn't all drudgery. The Weaving Maiden spent years glued to her loom, convinced that if she just kept working, she could avoid sorrow. But in the process, she avoided everything else too. Joy, friendship, love, even her own sense of self. It's a good reminder that being responsible doesn't mean shutting the door on living. But life isn't all fun and games either. When she finally lets loose, she swings so far in the other direction that she forgets her purpose entirely. And sure, it feels great for a while, dancing, laughing, running around heaven with the herd boy, but ignoring everything else eventually catches up with her. Even the gods start to see her as someone who's lost her footing. And that's the real point. It's the mix that makes a life. The joy and the sorrow, the good days and the hard ones, they give each other meaning. By the end, the maiden isn't the empty version of herself she was at the beginning, and she's not the carefree whirlwind she became for a moment. She's someone who's lived, and people who live that way, who let themselves feel the whole range, end up inspiring the rest of us to do the same. As you go into the days ahead, I hope you give yourself permission to live the whole of your life, the bright moments and the tougher ones, knowing that each part adds something real and meaningful to who you are today and who you'll be tomorrow. Let the good days lift you, let the hard days teach you, and trust that both are shaping a life worth living. Thanks for listening, and I look forward to you joining me again for the next episode of Tales for Life.